A discussion about whether Bush or Blair were good leaders is likely to generate more heat than light, and precious little hope of a consensus amongst people who bring different definitions of good leadership to the debate. So we don't need to agree on the definition, but we need to know what the definitions are. We might start by considering what the most popular books have to say on the issue. Many are based on autobiographical or biographical accounts. They relate leadership to the person regarded as the leader. Others define leadership as a process. This may be the style that leaders adopt, or a process such as sense-making. According to Weick, the process by which information which is undigested and contradictory is made sense of, or the practices of leaders. Some define leadership by simply considering what those in authority do, a positional approach. Often, the definition is close to that of power, drawn from Weber's and Dahl's original idea that power, and thus leadership, was the ability to get someone to do something they wouldn't otherwise have done. This approach tends to lock leadership into mobilizing a group or community to achieve a purpose, a results approach. Some of these we shall return to, but apart from noting the varying properties of these definitions, we are left more, rather than less, confused by them. Leadership does seem to be defined differently, and, even if there are some similarities, the complexities undermine most attempts to explain why the differences exist. However, the dissensus seems to hang around four areas of dispute: leadership defined as position, or person, or result, or process. This fourfold typology does not claim universal coverage, but it should encompass a significant proportion of our definitions of leadership. Moreover, the typology is not hierarchical. It does not claim that one definition is more important than another, and, contrary to the consensual approach, it is constructed upon foundations that may be mutually exclusive. In effect, we may have to choose which form of leadership we are talking about, rather than attempt to elide the differences. It is, however, quite possible that empirical examples of leadership embody elements of all four forms. Thus, we are left with four major alternatives. Leadership as position. Is it where leaders operate that makes them leaders? Leadership as person. Is it who leaders are that makes them leaders? Leadership as result. Is it what leaders achieve that makes them leaders? Leadership as process. Is it how leaders get things done that makes them leaders? All these aspects are ideal types, following Weber's assertion that no such real empirical case probably exists in any pure form. But this does enable us to understand the phenomenon of leadership better, and its attendant confusions and complexities, because leadership means different things to different people. This is therefore a heuristic model, a pragmatic attempt to make sense of the world, not an attempt to carve up the world into objective segments that mirror what we take to be reality. I will suggest, having examined these four different approaches to leadership, that the differences explain both why so little agreement has been reached on the definition of leadership, and why this is important to the execution and analysis of leadership. Defining leadership. Position-based leadership. Leadership is traditionally related to a spatial position in an organization of some kind, formal or informal. Thus, we can define leadership as the activity undertaken by someone whose position on a vertical and usually formal hierarchy provides them with the resources to lead. These people are above us, at the top of the tree, superordinates, and so on. In effect, they exhibit what we might call leadership in charge. This is how we normally perceive the heads of vertical hierarchies, whether CEOs or military.